Hello, great ones. Welcome to the Live and Be Great podcast. I'm your host, Latanya Sampson McDonald. I am a life coach and a registered marriage and family therapist associate. And this podcast was created to motivate, educate, and inspire all to live and be great. On today's episode, we have finally made it to the fourth agreement. We did it, y'all. I'm excited. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of us for making it this far. And if you are listening to this podcast for the first time, please subscribe, follow wherever you're listening to it. But definitely feel free to go back and binge any past episodes. And as well, for sure, this series, I wanted to talk about the four agreements, the book, The Four Agreements, and we have been breaking down each agreement for the past few episodes. So if you missed it, please feel free to go back and then meet us back over here at the fourth one. Today has been a distracting day. But I'm excited to make it to another episode with you all, okay? So let's get into it. The fourth agreement is to do your best. Always do your best, okay? This agreement is not about perfection. It's about putting your best foot forward at all times, okay? Some days, of course, you may have less energy. You may be stressed about certain things. Life happens, right? But as long as you do your best, even with those specific circumstances, you're doing what you need to do, right? And that is something that you can be proud of. You can know, hey, I was tired and I forgot to do this one thing, but I still made it through the day, right? Be proud of that. On this channel, I talk a lot about parenting, trauma, healing. I do believe that our trauma does come from our childhood, and what we experience in childhood often shapes how we are in the world as we get older. And one of the things that I used to detest, okay, was parents saying, oh, I did my best, right? We know, right? I know that used to get on my nerves, especially before me and my mother resolved our relationship, because it kind of felt as though it was an excuse to not repair the relationship, right? Not be accountable for the pain and the hurt that was caused during the childhood. When parents would say, I did my best. They would literally say, I ain't apologizing for nothing. Right? But the conversation that me and my mother had the other day was just so beautiful. She was listening to a doctor, and I can't remember what his name was, but this doctor had talked about beating his son in front of everybody at 3 years old because his son didn't tell him happy birthday, and he beat him in front of everybody that was at his birthday party. Not the son's birthday party, but the father, the doctor at the time. And he was like, that wasn't me. That was my trauma that was beating him, because I didn't get the validation, and I wanted everybody to validate me on that day, because I didn't receive it, and I didn't realize that that's what it was at the time. I was just so angry, and I wanted to humiliate my son. And, since then he has apologized, and my mom told me, listening to this guy, and how he has such a beautiful relationship with his son now. And he talks about a lot of the things that I talk about, right? And with my mom, she has friends that look at her as, why would you ever apologize to your children? My mom's like, listen, I don't want my kids hating me, and I want them to understand. And if it'll mend our relationship, if they can see that I love them and I was broken and it had nothing to do with them, why not apologize? And this is a woman that apologized knowing that she would never get that from her parents, because they're deceased now, right? But she'll never get that, but she still did it. So what I explained to her was, yes, you did what you were taught to do. You repeated a cycle that, you went through, and didn't really understand at the time how that affected you, because you have certain triggers. You have that PTSD from how you were raised, and oftentimes that trigger based off of, a child may be having a temper tantrum, or may be upset, or something may be out of place. You told them to do this and they didn't do it. You're repeating what happened to you if you fell short of whatever your parents felt like you should be doing at the time as a child. So you're taught, unfortunately, to push through that. You're taught, unfortunately, that you are to be controlled. And if not, pain should come. And it is responsible for even traveling into our adulthood, that father who can't understand why his daughter would let a man beat on her and disrespect her, but that's the same father that drug his daughter by her hair when she was 16 because she didn't wash the dishes, right? You demonstrate how life is supposed to be from those ages. So it's important that you be careful. It is important that also when you become a parent and you fall short, it's okay to apologize. Yes, we are responsible, because the book talks about, don't blame your parents because they did the best they could. They did with the tools that they had, but that doesn't mean that as a parent you don't try to correct that, right? You don't try to, you don't apologize for what the pain that it did cause, right? Because what that apology does is it helps your child erase those thoughts of feeling like they weren't worthy of love. They weren't worthy of understanding. They weren't worthy of, let's just go ahead and say it. I say it all the time. Grandparents, oftentimes their grandchildren are their do-over children, right? When they see that you're capable, and this is not just for grandparents, it could be with younger siblings, right? Parents are often harder on the firstborns, right? They're often harder on them because that's the closest to the trauma, right? They're the closest. So it's literally the trauma raising that firstborn child, right? And then if there's no correction, all the children. So when the grandchildren come, oh, don't hit my grandchild. Your child looking at you like, hold on. Wait a minute, you hit me, right? So you were capable? of changing your behavior, but you weren't with me? What's wrong with me? Right? Even at a big age, and somebody may roll their eyes at this or whatnot, but if you're feeling like you need to roll your eyes because you are a parent and you still feel like there's no need to apologize because you did the best that you could, I want to ask you to focus on what you experienced as a child and how certain things made you feel, and try not to excuse your parents as doing the best that you could. Try to sit, even just for a moment, that time where that parent may have gone too far, or that parent didn't apologize in the moment when they had wronged you. Try to go back there, right? And just pay attention to how it felt without going back. And oftentimes, parents, it's difficult for you to do that if you don't acknowledge your own pain, right? If you don't acknowledge your own childhood trauma, you can't hear anybody else, right? But the conversation, I don't know, it was just beautiful to hear that and now hear it differently. Now that mom has apologized and I know her story, it's like it took that burden off of me. It took a lot of the pain away. It put my heart back together again because I allowed it to, but also because she allowed herself to be vulnerable and to understand that she had flaws, but acknowledging her own pain throughout the process really helped my mom. Okay? So, this doing your best, right? Sometimes it's being accountable for what you do because you have to, right? You have to. If you hurt people, the best thing to do is to rectify it, no matter who it is. Okay? No matter who it is. So, let me switch gears a little bit. Y'all, I am still a dancer at 37 years old. Okay? And rest in peace to Tina Turner that kept doing it, up until the end. Right? Kept performing up until the end, and she was definitely an inspiration, right? But when it comes to this conversation about always doing your best, it cannot be based off of anybody's expectations of you, right? Because some people may say, oh, you're 37, you should just stop. For what? I remember someone told my mom, when my mom told them I was 23 or 26 or something like that, she told them that, and they straight up told her, oh, like she's done as a dancer, as a woman dancer, like it's a wrap for her. But because they need men in the industry, my oldest brother, because he's a dancer, he can dance as long as he need to. Whoo! That's another topic as far as how we treat people that age, especially women that get older. Oh, Lord Jesus, society. Oh, okay. It really, really, really has an impact on your self-esteem. Okay. But, okay, me being a dancer, still going to dance class, I'm still able to keep up. Now, I'm sore as all get out. And if I stop dancing, child, listen, that is painful, okay, for my 37-year-old body. But I'm not doing it for other people, okay? My mindset, I realize I do my best in dance class when I'm focused on impressing myself, okay? Doing the best based off of my standards and not comparing myself to anyone in that class, right? Because the interesting thing is when I do that, I get compliments from random people, right? Sometimes it's the choreographer, and sometimes, it's people I don't know that has come to class for the first time or whatever the case may be. I always have admirers, right? But when I go looking for those admirers and I'm not focused on my own growth and making sure I'm doing my best for me, right? And I do the comparison, I'm usually all over the place, and I already have ADHD. I could only focus but so much. No, like I have to get my mindset together and remember to have fun, and I'm doing this for me, no one else. Okay? And when you focus on yourself first, you gonna end up inspiring other people around you anyways, because you're not pouring from an empty cup. You fill you up first, and then you can give to others. Okay? So I love when I can remember those things, like to do my best, the 4 agreements, the rest of the agreements, impeccable with my word, don't assume anything, and to not take anything personal, right? Whether somebody compliments me or not, whether the person I want calls me out or not, we not worried about that. The likes, the shares, all of that, when it comes to social media, like, no, I'm doing this for me, right? And whoever that it may touch nobody, but I want to show that I'm proud of me. And as long as I can be proud of me, that's all that matters. If you want to post a picture that you love or video, or, you want to write a caption or whatever, make sure you do it for you first. And whoever's supposed to find it will at the time, right? You could post something, get no likes on it, and you never know who's watching, right? Who reaches out to you on another platform because you put it out there. Your intention was, hey, I love me. This helped me. I want to help somebody else, right? You reap the benefits. You do. It may not come in a form that is normal to everybody else, but it does come. And as long as you're, like the book talks about, when you do things, when you do your best, not expecting anything back in return, that is freedom, right? There is another chapter in the book that talks about freedom, but I want y'all to go ahead and read that for yourself or listen to it on Audible for yourself. But like the basis of it is doing your best, is following these 4 agreements, and that provides the freedom, right? When you can choose, hey, I'm going to be offended by this or not be offended. I'm going to let this break me or not let this break me. I'm going to be stressed about this or not be stressed about this. I'm going to do my best based off of me, or I'm going to do my best based off of what somebody else thinks is my best, right? Unless you auditioning for somebody's piece, or you're going, to work, of course, you have to make sure you follow those guidelines of what getting whatever project done is supposed to be, right? But in the space of you, okay, do your best every single time. And do not let shortcomings stop you from giving yourself that grace and being proud of you. But yeah, my mindset, I love dancing, and I'm not going to stop. Like, as long as my legs are moving, you're going to see me in dance class. Okay. You're going to see me. And I hope that is for anything that you love to do that brings you joy outside of people. Outside of people's judgment, outside of people feeling like you should be doing it, or whatever the case may be, or people putting age limits and all sorts of nonsense. That ain't none of your business. Right? So Another thing I wanted to bring up was doing your best in relationships. So when we back up a bit and I talked about the parents saying that they did their best, doing your best also includes being accountable for your actions and your shortcomings if somebody got hurt along the way. So in relationships, when it comes to couples and trying to marry your lives together, right? Whether you're married or not, but compromise and things of that nature, doing your best. This is another space where you for sure have to do your best for you. And as a life coach and a therapist, I always recommend that my clients, the couples that come in, that they have something like a personal sessions for themselves, right? Because you live the life outside. I say this all the time. You live the life outside of that person for I don't know how many years, right? So you have your own ways. And sometimes when there is a disconnect or a disagreement, there's friction, sometimes the ways individually don't really mesh together. And it's not necessarily like this person's way is wrong. It's just different based off of who they are outside of the marriage. And to do your best is to have that empathy and understanding for yourself. And if you have it for yourself, you can have it for your partner. You can show that patience and that kindness for your partner, right? And someone that is not doing that, if there's someone in the relationship that isn't showing grace to themselves, you are going to feel criticized. You are going to feel devalued. You are going to feel unappreciated. Yes, we can go back to our 4 agreements and not take it personal, right? If that person is having a bad day, and this is just how they react. But at the end of the day, that doesn't mean that that person doesn't need to do their best on themselves so you both can have a better relationship, right? So you're not bleeding onto each other when that's not the person that cut you in the first place, right? When you're not the one that has to dress the wounds for that other person. Dress your own wounds. Put your mask on first, right? For those of us that fly, before you put the other person's mask on. When you do that, you're going to win. You are, Now, if that person doesn't appreciate that or the other person is not working on themselves, then yes, you have some decisions to make. First decision before you make anything drastic, please, how you do your best is going and seeking professional help, right? Because couples counseling, I think I explained this on the last episode, but couples counseling is like 2 people are on the battlefield or on the playing field, I should say, because you're supposed to be a team. And when they go to football practice, you got the offense and the defense, and they'll go against each other, right? They'll play their roles. Let's put it that way. And the coach is able to look and see what everybody is doing, right? Their vantage point is to be able to see what the other players on opposing sides cannot see and to guide them to victory, right? That is what therapy and life coaching does for couples, even and for families, right? Even for individuals. It's a different perspective from the outside to lead you to that result that you want, right? And that, right, is trying your best in a relationship, seeking the guidance, seeking the help, and hopefully both of you agree to put in the work, right? And you can only go but so far as your weakest link. So if somebody is not, pulling their weight or trying, right, then there's decisions that can be made. And as long as you know you're doing your best, if the other person isn't, please believe you deserve somebody that's willing to do their best. And sometimes other people's best is just not good enough. That's a reality. That's a reality, So you have to decide, okay, this is my limit. And based off of me wanting the best for myself, this is what's going to happen, right? Either you come to therapy and we work on it together, or I walk, right? You don't have to settle as long as you know you're putting your best foot forward. Everybody in the relationship, everybody on the team must play their part. Okay? I hope I didn't confuse y'all. I didn't. But yeah, sometimes when you're not seeing eye to eye with whoever you're in relationship with, friendship, your children, blended family, whatever. Sometimes when you're not seeing eye to eye, it's okay to have that mediator come in. And then that is you, by agreeing for that to happen and to put in the work, that is you doing your best. Okay? When it comes to your everyday life, now, be your best self for you. And one of the things that I've been implementing, because I can get overwhelmed. Well, I have ADHD, so I can get overwhelmed very quickly when I don't stick to a certain routine, I could get distracted very easily. But I give myself grace, and what I've been doing is I'll use my law of attraction planner, and I will schedule by the hour each day, what I want to do each hour, right? And I make it all beautiful and pretty, and got my little stickers for my planner and the pretty pens and things of that nature, erasable pens, But part of what I do is I'm able to see my progress, right? And what I don't complete, I still give myself grace, right? I don't beat up on myself if I wasn't able to get this done on time. I just don't. There's no need to, because tomorrow is another day, right? So breaking things down into smaller tasks is what I do. And if I say, for instance, my social media, right? I say, I want to record videos and edit them and make sure they got captions and schedule them all today, right? And say I just get to the recording part. All right. The next day, that's when I'll do the editing. Or if something comes up, I'm like, all right, let me get this done. Pat myself on the back because I got something done. It may have not been what I scheduled today. But let me applaud myself for getting this done, right? That needed to take priority over this particular task. And then tomorrow is a new day, right? I do that. I give myself that. I knew I had to do that because last year was a super crafting year. I let the craft, throw glitter on stuff, making stuff for people, from the heart. And, my perfectionism sometimes get in the way. And yes, as an ADHD person, yes, you're going to have a lot of projects that you do not finish. And I've accepted that. I really have. Yeah, I have those moments where I go ahead and push through and say, hey, I'm going to do it. If I have the energy and I have the motivation, I may watch something so that I can get motivated and inspired to do it. I might listen to music, whatever I need to do. If I feel like, okay, you know what? No, let me get this done in a timely manner. I do whatever I need to do to make sure I'm motivated to put my best foot forward, right? But other things, I'm like, if I'm really not feeling it, and it's like something that I feel like I need to put love and care into, I'm not in the mood, y'all, it gets switched to the next day. And I don't feel nothing. I've trained myself to not feel bad about it, right? I had to tell my niece the other day, listen, I've been working on this hoodie for you since your birthday. I wasn't able to give it to you for your birthday. But as soon as it's done, because Auntie is a perfectionist, and my niece is a Pisces like me. I was like, we're a perfectionist. She started laughing, and I was like, but when it's done, you gonna have it. And she just started laughing and said, okay, Auntie, right? And you be putting so much pressure on yourself, like when it comes to other people, and they don't even, especially if they're not even expecting it. When it comes to like gifts and things, y'all. I'm not doing that no more. I'm like, let me give myself some grace. Like, they gonna feel however they want to feel, if it's good still, it was still good for me, I feel like, to be accountable and to be like, I know you was expecting something on your birthday or your graduation or whatever the case may be. Listen, not right now, but I got you. Okay? Just check in with people, and give yourself that grace and understanding, right? And I want y'all to send all the good vibes to my niece. She graduates today. I'm so very proud of her, and she's going off to college in September. And, she was a premature baby, and she's always making sure she puts her best foot forward, and I love that. Right? And I'm very, 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 very proud of her. Okay? As long as she knew that, she heard that from my mouth, all the other stuff, come on now. No pressure. Right? But that goes to say, give yourself grace and break things down into certain tasks when it comes to your everyday life, okay? And if you don't have the energy or something else comes up, respect the progress that you're still making, Still congratulate yourself and applaud yourself. Celebrate that you're still making progress, no matter what, okay? And I believe that's all I have for that. Yes. I really hope you all have enjoyed this episode. I hope you all have enjoyed this series. Always feel free to reach out, leave a review, share the podcast. You will get my handles at the end of how to reach out to me at every end of each podcast. I can't remember if I put my Gmail on there, but if it's something that you want me to talk about, feel free to DM me on any social media platform or what else? Oh, email me at liveandbegreat@gmail.com. Right? I'm here, and I really hope that this has been helpful. I know it will be, right? Give yourself grace. Always do your best according to you, and celebrate your progress, okay? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great. The Live and Be Great podcast will be airing every other Friday.
If you have truly enjoyed this podcast, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for giving Live and Be Great a chance. Please feel free to share, like, give a review, subscribe on whichever platform that you're listening to right now, on iTunes or Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor, as well as Google Play. The Live and Be Great podcast is strictly crowdfunded, so if you are interested in becoming a supporter, you can click the link in the description, or you can go to liveandbegreat.com and scroll to the bottom and donate to the Live and Be Great podcast today, so I can continue to give you good and motivational content. Thank you all for listening, and don't forget to give yourself permission to live and be great.